Here we are on my dashboard. Good place to start for information. So since last month, I've got 1,109 products. I've added two particular new products to that. What I've been working on is actually improving and updating my existing products. And I've got to start to roll them out. I've got quite a few sitting on my computer at home. I've got to start uploading, but it takes a long process because I'm having to obviously redesign it, redo the resources and redo the covers. And that takes quite a bit of time going through that. I'm going to see less product creation going forward and more improving what I've actually got in the store to try and obviously increase the number of sales I'm getting. So how'd we go? For a start, we're now up to 70 followers. So I picked up one more follower that month, which is really nice. Haven't looked at my store ranking. I'm not sure it's come in for March, 97th percentile. That's pretty good. I think last month was a 96th percentile. So I moved up 1 percentile. Well, I've been sitting at 96 for the previous 2 months. And a lot of that is a result of my Australian buyers going back and topping up my sales compared to the US market. That little bit of extra obviously moved me up 1 percentile. But in reality, as I've always said, it doesn't actually really matter because I'm only competing against myself or I guess in some cases, other history sellers, but they don't sell the same sort of products as me. So I'm really only competing against myself. So let's start off with the views where I like to start. The views were, once again, we're still in between the old and the new system. We're still 1394 is a lot, I think is a decent amount of views for the month. If the data is correct, that it's actual proper individual views actually coming through. As you see, it's fairly consistent over the month. You got the weekends where it drops off and then picks up again, usually around about Monday. For my conversions, wow, 92% increase. So 92%, so 14% this March, 7.4% last March. And that's pretty much getting the trend. When I first started off the month, it was actually really low, it was like 2 or 3%. I didn't get a lot of sales compared to views. And then it really picked up from there. It goes up and down over the month, but like I said, some days were as high as 18%, 25%, other days were as low as 0%. What's really important is I really maintain that consistency of around about that 14% from month to month. I think that's a real positive for me. If we look at then units sold, so I sold 205 units this month of individual products, or 3.5% more than the 198 I sold last year. So based on those figures, in reality, I've got a higher conversion rate and I've sold a little bit more. But like I said, I've only sold a little bit more, 3.5% compared to the conversion rate. So what's that going to translate into my earnings for the month? So if we look at earnings for the month, I'm up 2.9%. So last year, earnings is $850 I made. This year, I made $875.29. I think that's a fantastic month for me. Being in Australia, our dollar just went down against the US. Well, that's a good thing with your view on the Trump tariffs, tanked our dollars. So I actually get more income in Australian dollars being an exporter, which is about right. Hopefully he doesn't throw a 10% tariff on me going forward. So yeah, as we see, we look at the graph. Last year, we started really early. I sold more bundles last year than I did this year. But going across, they pretty much mirror each other. And they're usually out by a couple of days. And maybe that's it. That's simply the case. Harry, away. It's my dog wanting to go for a walk. Isn't that right, Harry? Harry, off to your bed. Good boy. So the differences in the dates, the figures, when we look at the chart, they're always a little bit later this year compared to March last year, maybe because there's different dates, weekends fall on different dates. As a result, it shuffles along, but they tend to make each other up. So when I start off the month, say if it was more weekdays the previous year, I have lots of sales I'm behind, and then I catch up as the week progresses. But like in the beginning, because I'm thinking I've got to beat last year's sales, it does cause a little bit of stress. And I realized I've got to stop doing that. It doesn't matter what happened last year. I'm looking for changes and improvements. I sold more units, which is the main thing, and I've improved my conversion rate. What this also says to me is I've got to develop more relevant bundles to get those big sales, and that's what top sellers do. They have a lot more bundles than me to actually produce those spikes or those very large days. So let's have a look at our traffic. Where did it come from? So direct, once again, the majority of it is direct. We've got non-TPT search, about $18 worth this type. And from social, Pinterest, which is good. Like I said, I've been a bit more active, trying to post on things like Pinterest and my Facebook page every day. I really need to actually obviously put some trackers on there. I say the majority of those are actually coming from Pinterest because I've obviously got a lot of pins up there now under my account, which is like $12 not a huge amount, but like I said, it's increasing, it's improving. Over time, we're going to get more and more. The more I put on Pinterest, it doesn't disappear. It's a big online search engine. Therefore, it's an evergreen type of advertising. People can do searches and finds and that. There's a product, click on it, and they might come and buy it. From Pinterest, socials, 37 click-throughs, 8.8% conversion. And that is an above average conversion for TPT for your average product. Whereas my main direct ones, according to this, sit at about 15.48%. Non-TPT search, which is like Google searches advertising on my behalf and through TPT, 2.97%, much lower. But I do get more hits, 202. But the more views I've got, the better a chance I've got to work from my perspective to try and do those conversions. So we'll leave it there. Hopefully this report is helpful on some of my insights based on my data. Do look at yours, but like I said, it's about continual improvement and it's not a straight line. It's up and down. So all I can do is see what happens at the end of the month and keep doing the little things I need to do to improve my store. And hopefully I get the rewards for that in the short term as well as the long term. So if you've got any questions, certainly put them down below. I love to help other TPT sellers. Wrapped up there. Please do enjoy the other little short YouTube videos I'm doing on the different aspects of building a store, and do comment and like those as well. That would be fantastic. I'll see you next time.